Hello, and welcome to the first official 2020 episode. It's number 95, and Happy New Year to everybody. How was your holiday?
Quiet. You were here. We played Scrabble.
Yes, we did. And I won.
I won one game.
By cheating. Anyway, today we have kind of a blast from the past with the Brontë sisters. We are going to interview Bella Ellis.
Bella Ellis is the Brontë-esque pseudonym of acclaimed author of numerous novels for adults and children. She first visited the former home of the Brontë sisters when she was 10 years old. From that moment, she stepped over the threshold, she was hooked, and she embarked on a lifelong love affair with Charlotte, Emily, and Anne. Their life, their literature, and their remarkable legacy.
In The Vanishing Bride, it's Yorkshire, 1845. A young wife and mother has gone missing from her home, leaving behind 2 small children and a large pool of blood. Just a few miles away, a humble parson's daughters, the Brontë sisters, learn of the crime. Charlotte, Emily, and Anne Brontë are horrified and intrigued by the mysterious disappearance. These 3 creative, energetic, and resourceful women quickly realize that they have all the skills required to make 4 excellent lady detectives. Not yet published novelists, they have well-honed imaginations and are expert readers. And as Charlotte remarks, detecting is reading between the lines. It's seeing what is not there.
Welcome, Bella.
We would like to welcome Bella Ellis, who is the author of The Vanished Bride. Welcome, Bella.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me.
The Brontë sisters were wonderful characters in their own way. What drew you to write them as lady detectives?
Well, I've been a huge fan of Brontë sisters since I was a little girl. My mum dragged me along to the Brontë Parsonage Museum when I was about 10. I didn't think I wanted to go. I thought it would be really boring. The minute I stepped over the threshold, I was rather enthralled. For the last 30-odd years, I've been very much a Brontë fan, a Brontë geek, you might call me. I was actually writing a novel about something else set in West Yorkshire, and I was trying to figure out if I could put the Brontë sisters in it in a kind of cameo. It's sort of a literary mystery, and I just wondered if I could put them in it as well. As it happened, as soon as I had the idea of them being mystery solvers and detectives, I thought, no, I need to write that as a whole book, or indeed a series of books. So that's really where The Vanished Bride came from.
You did an impressive job of getting down the Brontë vibe in the book. How much research did you have to do to get each character right?
I did a lot of research because the Brontë sisters mean so much to so many people, and not just their books, but their lives as well are really important to a lot of people and the things they achieved. So I wanted to do them justice. So there was a big balancing act between trying to get as much of their biographical detail into the story as possible. Reading their letters, their diary papers really helped pick up a voice, especially with Charlotte. But also, I have to acknowledge these are my fictional versions of them. This is how I imagine them. But I'm pretty sure other people perhaps might imagine them differently. So it's that fine balance between storytelling and history.
Now, did you know any of this information growing up? As you said, you were a Brontë geek, or did you really have to do the research before writing the book?
I had to do a lot more research than I thought I was going to have to do. I know the novels inside out, and I knew a lot about their lives, but not actually as much as I thought that I did. So that was really interesting to me. I didn't really know the depth, passion that Charlotte had for Monsieur Eyre. I knew a bit about Branwell, but not really the extent of the terrible scandal that he got involved in with Mrs. Robinson, his former employer. I think perhaps the greatest revelation was Patrick, because he's such an interesting man. And I've always been led to believe, partly because of the Elizabeth Gaskell biography, that he was a very sort of stern and strict and quite aggressive man. But in fact, in his letters, in his sermons, in the way that he put the girls up and Branwell, he was incredibly gentle and progressive man for his time. It's really interesting.
Well, you brought up Branwell. Personally, I had not known about Branwell Brontë. He is a tragic and yet comedic character in the book.
Yes. Love him.
Yes. Was there any effective treatment for alcoholism and opium addiction at that time in history, do you know?
Not really. No, there wasn't. Largely because opium wasn't really seen as that much of a problem. It was in laudanum, which was a very commonly used medicine given to everybody, even to children. And Branwell certainly abused it, but it was almost like taking too many paracetamol at the moment, regular painkillers. People didn't really understand the addictive properties of it at that time. A little later in the 19th century, it started to become clear. Alcohol was a big problem, and there was a big movement against it, especially amongst the various Christian communities at that time. Branwell was literally drowning his sorrows. He had a terrible broken heart, which only got worse for him, and he just couldn't recover from it. Unfortunately, everything his family tried to do for him, and they really did a lot, he wasn't rescuable this time. Well, that time, ever.
Well, it seemed like his father was in all areas. He was kind of unaware of what was going on.
Yeah, he did know that Branwell was in a terrible state. I mean, there was a period a little bit later, it's not covered in this book, but will come up in one of the later books, I expect, where Branwell actually set fire to his bed because he was so intoxicated. And Patrick then brought Branwell into his own bedroom and slept with him in his bed so he could watch over him. And he did everything that he could to try, and he'd ask the local inns not to serve him. He would stop him getting money, but even so, Branwell always found a way to get to the alcohol and the drugs. He's a classic addict.
Well, and also with as far as the opium goes, it's a little hard to notice somebody has an addiction when they use that as some of the cures for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he could walk out of the front door and walk over to the pharmacy and buy it over the counter. When his father actually asked them not to sell opium to Branwell anymore, he just ordered it mail order. It was really easy to get hold of.
You have some great quotes in this book. One of those is, "As ever, my dear brother, I do not have time to waste on the weakness of men." Are any of them actual quotes from the Brontë sisters?
There are quotes in the text that come from their letters. I've put a few in there. I've hidden a few in. That one, I think, is from me.
It's good.
I may use that myself.
But yes, there's quite a lot of Easter eggs in there for Brontë fans, I think. But equally, you don't necessarily have to be a Brontë fan to read the book. I hope it just works as a mystery story as well.
Yes, it does. You write other books under your real name, Rowan Coleman. What made you pick the pseudonym Bella Ellis?
Very simply, when the sisters first published their poems and then went on to publish their first novels, they published under the pseudonym Currer, Ellis and Acton Bell. And Bella Ellis is just a reversal of Ellis Bell, and that's Emily's pseudonym. And Emily is my favourite, so I don't like to pick a favourite.
As the series progresses, will we see snippets of their ideas kind of formulating for Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights?
Yes, I think in a way what I've begun with The Vanished Bride is to try and reverse engineer those novels and to try and imagine what might have inspired them. So there's definitely a bit of a Jane Eyre vibe in The Vanished Bride. Well, it's a completely different story, as you know, but there's a definite vibe. There's also a little bit of Tenant of Wildfell Hall and a little bit of Wuthering Heights in there. Book 2, I'm writing at the moment again. I take a lot of those elements out of their novels and sort of just play around with them to see what real life, inverted commas, situation might have inspired the novels. You'll definitely see a lot of that, and as they progress towards having their novels published as well.
I liked in the novel how you kind of had them just stop what they were doing all of a sudden, like, oh, I have to write this down.
Yeah.
And I don't have time for that. You know, I'm working on this poem.
Yes. Well, I think one of the reasons that I love them so much is that they are so recognizably writers. And as a writer myself, I recognize a lot, not obviously their genius, because they are geniuses. The way they felt about writing, that passion, as Charlotte said, I write because I can't help it. That drive, that passion to do it, and also the insecurity and the worry and the fear over how people are going to feel about it, and the disappointment if it doesn't go well. All of those things are really resonant with me. And in that way, they really communicate very vividly and resonantly with me. As they could be writers today posting on Facebook about a bad review, you know.
I particularly like the part in the book where Emily climbed up the outside of the building. I can just picture her in her long dress.
I must say that is my favourite part, actually. I loved that. I loved writing it. It was such fun.
Yeah, it sounded like it was fun when I was reading it. Now, will Branwell take a more active role in the new books?
Branwell is around, yes. He does take a role in all of the books, I think, because he's so important to them. They love him very much. As much as he infuriates them, they love him. The more they can get him involved in their adventures, the more they hope they can distract him from his heartbreak. But there are a few rocky times ahead for Branwell. I'm not going to spoiler it.
What do you think the sisters would think of today's liberated women?
That is so interesting. I don't know, honestly, what they would think of today's liberated women. I think they would find it very difficult to recognise the women of today with the women that they were. There is a lot that they did in their writing and their lives to progress what expectations society had of what women are capable of. Charlotte particularly wanted to be married. When she was married, she was keen to defer to her husband. She wanted to be called Mrs. Nichols. She had a very strict understanding of what she believed were the right and wrong in terms of the roles of women and men. In a marriage, certainly. But in her career, in what she wanted to achieve for herself, for her ambition, for her creativity and her intellect, she had no boundaries. She wanted it all, and she was absolutely determined to get it. And thank goodness, really.
Yes, definitely. Is there any other historical figures you would like to turn into detectives?
Gosh, yes. yes, there is one. I'm not going to say, though, because what if somebody else does it for me?
Okay. You can tell us once the recording's over.
For now, I'm just in Brontë world. So I hope there'll be a few Brontë mysteries to come.
We do, too.
Oh, thank you.
I must say this book was a fun read from cover to cover.
Thank you. I really wanted it to be fun.
And also a good mystery to boot. I had to really think about this one.
Well, that's good. That really pleases me because this is my first go at mystery writing. I laboured hard over trying to make it as difficult as I could. So I'm delighted to hear that.
Do you have any new books coming out or events you'd like our listeners to know about?
The Vanished Bride is out in all good bookshops right now, so do go and grab a copy. The new book, the second Brontë mystery, will be coming out next year, and that is called The Diabolical Bones.
Ooh. What is your website so people can find you and your books?
So you can find me under rowancoleman.com, ROWANCOLEMAN.com. I'm just getting my Bella website sorted out now. But I'm on Twitter as Brontë Mysteries, Instagram as Brontë Mysteries, and Facebook as Brontë Mysteries. You can find me under that tag on all of the social media. And I love to hear from readers. So if you've read the book, please let me know that you like it. Perhaps not if you don't like it.
We liked it.
Thank you. Thank you.
To get 6 thumbs up from us.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful. I'm so pleased.
Rowan, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the program today.
My pleasure.
We wish you all the luck in your future books.
Thank you.
Be sure and send us a copy or let us know when it comes out so that we can promote it on the program.
We definitely will, I promise.
Will you enjoy the rest of your day?
And you. Thanks for having me. Bye.
This was a very enjoyable book. It brought back a lot of the Brontë sisters' characters. It was just very, very well done.
The mystery itself really was so well done. Bella outdid herself. I did not foresee the outcome. I thought she just really nailed it as far as the personalities of the Brontë sisters. They're exactly how I would have wanted them to be. Even the outlying characters like Patrick and Branwell. I loved every character in this book.
Yes, Branwell was exceptionally good. He was
very entertaining.
Yes, he made a lot of the story.
It's a shame we know his real tragic story, but we're enjoying him while we can.
Well, we wish Bella a lot of luck with